Welcome to another episode, everybody. My name is Greer White. This is the Hunt and Harvest podcast. To everybody who has not been here before, welcome, and to those who are returning, thank you. I wanted to go over something very important today that is going on in my life lately. A big change that has happened is that I quit my job, my day job, right before I got married in May of 2026, and now it is July 5th, and I am self-employed. I like saying unemployed because I think it's funnier, but I am self-employed. I'm a peach farmer. I'm 24 years old, about to be 25, and I've been thinking about how I can make money and do things for myself, be my own boss, for a long time. And the road to that, I want to go over some of that and get my perspective documented while it's still fresh in my brain, being employed not that long ago to a job that I knew was a good job, but not something that I wanted to do forever. I knew that it wasn't for me. So this is a unique opportunity to talk about this, even though we usually talk about farming and hunting and entrepreneurship. I'm tying in the entrepreneurship angle. I just don't like to box myself in or have too many thoughts about it. I want to have freedom with the podcast, with the YouTube. So we're just going to talk about what we want to talk about and hope that you guys get something out of it. So I was employed at a oil company for 2.5 years, almost a little over 2 years near my hometown. I graduated college for horticulture science, and I, for some reason, grew a liking to peach farming and to fruit. I love fruit. So there's a big tie. You're like, why peaches? Why farming? I love eating fruit. I love growing stuff. I love fruit. I have had a history of agriculture in my family, and I've had some experience with it early high school when I was more troubled. My family had a daikon radish farm that they were doing, in like a climate controlled, not quite greenhouse, but type facility, where we were supplying a grower who was in Harris Teeter and a bunch of other places it was really cool. And it was my dad's goal, and my mom was helping him, and before her career took off, that was going on. It started working well. It ended up something we had to stop doing. I'm not going to get into that, but that's kind of where I got my horticultural drive, I guess, to go to NC State. Again, not too many thoughts from the 14-year-old to 17-year-old, but my mom didn't even think I'd graduate high school, much less go to college and finish it. So here we are. I really enjoyed my time at NC State, but also I wouldn't take it back at all, but also there was some element of immaturity or no thoughts that was going on. You're not thinking too far ahead. Oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to make money? And you're 18 to 21, so I'm not going to say you're the smartest guy at the time, but that is unfortunate in my head that I wasted some of those years not thinking what I've been thinking these past 3 years, 2 years, while I was in college, because I could be leaps and bounds beyond where I am now. But you can make the argument that, dude, you're 18, you're 19, you're 20, whatever, just freaking have fun and goof off or whatever, do your thing. But there's a balance to that. There's a line. I think that some people think that, oh, you don't need to think about this, you're gonna do great. The fact that you're even thinking about it at 21 means that you're gonna succeed anyway. I'm not so sure I completely agree with that. I feel like it'd be awesome if 18-year-old me had been thinking about what I've been thinking about lately. But here we are, and this is how we got there. So the horticulture thing, I just picked it up from, the tree fruit desire came from a class, I guess, at NC State, and it was Dr. Parker's tree fruit specialist class. I really enjoyed that class. I really knew that I wanted to farm. I wanted to work outside. I feel closer to God, closer to nature, and I just think that it is the life for me in a way. But I also know that farming is very risky and difficult to achieve success, and it's not that we're all called to be successful in my innate desire, or like I have some innate desire to get filthy rich or do all this stuff. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I just really enjoy farming, but I also want to be able to provide for my family and work for myself and have my own time. That's why self-employment was for me, but I just for some reason chose this path. Maybe God wanted me to have this as a purpose, farming and for some reason tree fruit. I really like growing peaches. I really like, investing in my community and being a part of it. And it's really cool to see even a fraction of my dream come true now in my life lately, like literally right now it's happening. Even though it's a fraction of it, it lit my brain on fire after the first time I made a sale of peaches, met with my community, sold fruit at my roadside stand. For those of you who've been following along with my YouTube, you know that I have been doing this. And it's just like the brain was on fire when I went to sleep that night. Like, oh my God, I've actually achieved, like I couldn't stop thinking about how it worked. And I think there's something, I don't want to get too off a tangent, but like that was insane. It was like I could sleep, but I was still awake. I was asleep, but I was still awake thinking about how I succeeded. I've been thinking about this moment, not knowing what it would look like, but thinking about it and it happening. Years I was thinking about, how can I do this? How can I make $1 self-employed from peaches, from my farm, from my own accord, my own willpower? And it just lit me up that night. So I ever since then, like, I don't even want to say ever since then, but that night, it's like, this is so surreal. This is, I know I don't know what it's going to look like in the future. My employment, my self-employment, my journey with myself and my wife and my farm and all these goals we have and I have, but like they're not, it's just so valuable to have thought about something for years and to actually see a reward, because discipline and willpower, you're always like, you're muscling through, you're powering through, and you're never rewarded, and then you get rewarded and it's like, whoa. But back to the employment versus self-employment part, I don't want to speak bad about the company that I worked for. I really enjoyed them, the people, and it funded a lot of my farm goals and endeavors that I've had. I used that paycheck to invest into my business over and over, and I could have bought a truck or done something stupid, but I don't even regret spending any of that money, even though not all of it has given me a return yet. It was such a good experience, and I'm more handy and more capable as a man because of my job, so I'm super grateful, and I loved meeting the people, but it was not for me long term. The whole point of the job was to get away from it, and it just sort of was something that I picked up. It just happened, like, go away. It just happened. Sorry. It just happened. I was flowing. This is my brother-in-law. He's been on another podcast. We're on vacation right now. I was freaking flowing, and everything was good, but
you flowing?
I was. Now
really? Let me check.
Get out of here.
You're flowing.
Yeah, but the job thing was not meant for me long term. I could tell that it was always something that I wanted to get away from and get into my own business. It was not I'm trying to get back on that train of thought I had, but the job was a good experience, but I did not want to be there long term. I knew that I had to use it to get away and do my own thing. And now it's weird because there's no off switch. There was never really an off switch while I was employed, but there was still some sense of, oh, I'm okay. I can I can clock out. I made my money today. I went to work. I did this, and I put this much into my business. But it was like, this much work and this much self-employment. Like thinking of my own goals and everything. It just was, the scale was tilted towards the job always. It was taking so much more time than anything else that mattered to me. And now it's different. I have the same goals of that I had before while I had the job, but now I can't turn it off. It's all I can think about. Even on vacation, or even at night, it's all I'm thinking about. How can I actually provide and prove to myself that I can actually make money and do the right thing on my own, because I don't have the job giving me the recurring paycheck. I don't have the comfort of knowing that, well, I know that there's something for me to do tomorrow that's going to make me money, that everything's going to be good. I don't really have to worry. I can just wake up, do my thing, go to work, come back, shut it off, and then put a little bit into your own life, because you've got just that 1/3 of the day left, because you got 1/3 for the work, you got 1/3 for you, and 1/3 for sleeping. I mean, it was just so much of a toll. I never really my progress was so slow. That's why I was there for like 2+ years, but I guess God had that in mind for me, and I think it was the right timing, but it definitely didn't feel like it while I was doing it. All I could think about was how I'm letting myself down at work by going to work and not working on the things that I care about. But now that I have the self-employment, like, it's all up to me, I know that I'm never gonna go back, no matter what format God sets me on for a business, for being, my ability to provide my work in this life. Like, I know that I'm gonna always be in charge of it. Like, I do not want to ever go back to someone else's time, someone else's dreams, someone else's goals being more important, and being more important than mine. It just seems wrong. Why would I allow something like that to control me if I'm not invested into it mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally? Like, that is, if you're not that with your job, like, then you probably are thinking about something else that is more important to you that you'd like to do, and you should probably go do that. But if you're not, that's why it's nice when a company you believe in or have helped build, or have all these attachments to it, that gives you tons of value, whether the money's great or not, like, you love it, that's great. That is a huge win. But as a guy, as like a guy who's been, outdoors all his life, hunting and fishing, and, had a bunch of troubled childhood, had a troubled childhood, and, mom didn't think I was going to graduate, and mom didn't think I would go to college or do all these things, not like a lot of doctors, like, in my cousins and uncles and aunts, like, everybody else seems like successful in the circle, the big circle of my life, but, I don't have that. It didn't even seem like it was in the cards for me. And not that I gave it too much thought or that it hurt me, but, like, it just, I knew that I knew I was always going to work for myself. I hope that I'm trying to articulate my thoughts. I want to become so good at articulating what I'm thinking about. It's very difficult, but that's why I really like the podcast, because you can just practice over and over. But this reclines. That's sick. Yeah, but there's trying to reel it back in to what I was saying, but I mean, there's no off switch. Every dollar I make now is so much harder to spend, because the comfort of the recurring, like, oh, I know I have somewhere to go next week and work and make money, and I'll have that income, and I'll be able to provide for, my needs and my wife, and in some capacity, it's like, sorry about that. It's just that comfort is gone, but it has been replaced with confidence in myself. And I think that's worth it way more. I way more important than the comfort. I would choose confidence over comfort all the time. And the confidence has come from the evidence. It's probably like that night my brain flipped off. Oh my God, people have come to purchase a product that I provided them. Even though it's like, we're talking about me selling fruit. It's not like I'm making a killing. It's just the fact that somebody wanted to come talk to me and exchange money for something I offered them. That's insane. I mean, how cool is that? Now my evidence exists. Now I'm confident. Now I can continue. Now I can replicate. Now I can be more creative and have more ingenuity and create a new way to bring people together to serve my community and to actually provide for myself and my family, which is a hard thing to do. I'm finding out, and it feels like it's getting a little harder in America, but America's still amazing. You talk to everybody about, I'm not going to go into this much, but you can still complain about all the inflation and the prices and everything, which is valid in the housing market, all that stuff. Like, America's going to crap or what? Like, it's still like the Roman Empire of our time. Still the best place ever, and we just gotta fix the corruption. But yeah, it's been a real big change, but nothing feels like, I don't feel wrong about it at all. There is no like regret. Occasionally when I'm dying doing farm labor because of a drought we're in or whatever, like hand watering trees, it's just because like I don't have the money for the infrastructure to make it simple, or I don't have any help or whatever. All those things will come. I'm 24. I can totally go and use my body to physically take care of everything. I mean, I'm not even farming that much stuff, I mean, it's a lot for one guy, but I'm one guy. I can do it. So, and I think that beyond farming, I have to become like a businessman. And it sounds weird, but like I want to farm fruit, and I have dreams and goals and ideas, and I know that they would be profitable. Obviously, there's a lot of risk with farming, but I know that they would be profitable upon actually, I want to say upon them succeeding, no duh, but like, with farming, it's like, well, did you lose all your crop this year or did you not? On the did you not years, I know it will be profitable. But there's always the years that you don't. But there's infrastructure and things you can do to sort of mitigate your risk. But that's how things are. Nothing worth doing is without risk. So I have all these dreams and goals with the farm, but also with business ideas. Like my wife makes fun of me sometimes about farmers being so risky in their jobs and are so difficult and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not just gonna. That's part of the reason I'm doing the YouTube, and part of the reason I want to provide. I want to make a business out of the farm. It's not just grow, sell. Like, that'll be a part of it. But, and I'm not trying to dilute my goals or my inputs to get scattered results. I feel like the YouTube is surrounding the business and entrepreneurial endeavors that I'm going through. So it's just sort of like a documentation of what I'm doing, and I'm not trying to split into too many different things, but I want to farm, and I want to like have a retail location and be able to sell my produce and other people's produce and other items, and have my own like agricultural, like farm and garden produce storefront, Like White Oak Pastures is a very large inspiration to me. I'm not even certain I would want to farm at that scale. It would require so much help. And I don't know, it seems so weird to think that you could have as much help as they do. And very smart employees and animal husbandry, people who are expert veterinarians and breeders and growers and all these things. So like, that's so cool. And I'm not saying that isn't a total amazing dream of mine, but it's just cool how they provide so much into their community through their business that there's like no way they could fail. They could, like a freaking a tornado could destroy the whole place, or kill all the animals. I don't know. I'm just making something up. And they would still survive and find a way to do it, find a way to succeed, because their community loves what they've done so much. They would feed, like, it's just like a loop of support, because they're so intertwined with their community, and it goes beyond Bluffton, Georgia, where they are. It goes onto the internet. Like, I can order all of their meat on my phone right now and have it sent to my house, and it's just so cool. That kind of business, even if it's not just all of my own, like, I would just find a way to provide not only my produce but other people's produce and bring quality goods to people. I'm just describing a storefront, and like, those are good businesses, and I just don't think that I can put all my eggs in one basket of, okay, I'm gonna grow these peaches and that's it. Even though, like, you can make that work. But I know that in my journey of self-employment, no matter what it's gonna look like, in the end, I'm gonna be far happier and much less regret, at the end of my life, for doing something I'm passionate about, something that I'm interested in, something that feeds and serves my community. I already feel the reward, and I'm just out there with a tent and a table selling peaches and, a couple other products, Though I'm sure the money will come one day, The fact that it has already paid me a small profit is like, just from like a week of doing it, you're like, oh my God, I didn't lose money. We won. What a win, It's awesome. But if there's something out there that you want to do and you're not getting to do it, or your time's taken up by your job, by things that you are not passionate about or interested in, stare at the wall and think about what you want to do most in life and what you want your life to look like. Because even though your plans can be disrupted and your plans are not, God's plan, a little bit of intention and desire to be that servant, to be that person in life, like, it can go a long way. I've already seen it go such a long way for me, and time's short on this planet, so unless you're an elite who can afford the anti-aging cell regeneration thing they're coming out with. But I really think that there's something to being self-employed. I make jokes and call it unemployed, but it is, I'm grateful that it even exists, here in America, to like do whatever you want to do. So thank you guys so much for watching, and a couple of things I want to tell you about. You can go in my description, you can click the bio site, you can click all the links, and you can follow me on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'll have a website very soon that you'll be able to hopefully get some goods from and support me. And come and see me at the roadside stand if you want to, if you live in that region. And also, if you're on Spotify, leave a 5-star. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, leave a comment. I really appreciate that. And another thing I wanted to talk about, for those of you who've made it to the end, you're going to get some awesome stuff right here. One of my friends, Crew Mahoney, does YouTube and does a podcast as well, and I am a very big believer in this thing that he says at the end or beginning of a lot of his podcasts or videos, is the no phone dinner. I hate my phone, but I also like my phone, so I get the urge to pick it up. But do not pick your phone up. Do not have music on, no TV, no laptop, no iPad, no nothing, no screens, no noise, no bleh. during dinner. It's called no phone dinner. Just put it down, put it away, get it away from you, and enjoy a meal in silence with yourself or with your family or your friends or whoever it may be. Just everybody put their phones away and just enjoy what's in front of you, whether it's the wall, your family, your friends. Just make sure there's no screen, no music, no noise. Just be present in the moment, because it's hard. It's so easy to forget to be present. I mean, I was outside last night looking up at the sky, and you're like, when was the last time I was awake to look at the stars and see, you know what I mean? I know it's summer, so the days are longer, but it's just like you need to be present, and this thing is taking it from you. They want you on this little rectangle, and they want it to zap all of your attention span and dopamine and make you a slave, like those fat people in Wall-E slurping on the slushies and buying stuff. Consume, consume, consume. So after you're done consuming this podcast, stop. No phone dinner. Remember that. Thank you, guys. See you next time.